Hey guys, like I said in my email, I'm going to start sending some tips from Visible Learning. It's going to be high impact teaching strategies. I really want to focus on ones that make a big difference and ones that are easy to implement. So I'm going to start with teacher clarity. Teacher clarity is easy to implement, but it has an effect size of 0.75, which is if we're clear about what kids are learning, why they're learning it, and how they can know they're being successful, it can get them almost to 2 years of growth when implemented correctly. Now, right now with the pandemic and kind of throwing everything for a loop, your lesson plans, rewriting those into a digital format, and then, kids at home not necessarily keeping up with work. Let's be real, it's been a struggle, okay? And the curriculum apps that keep saying march forward. Sometimes it can be a little tempting to pull something up in your Google Drive, put it in Google Classroom, and go. But I want to talk about how having teacher clarity can kind of incentivize kids to do that and give them a little bit more reason to go and actually participate in the work that we're putting out. Quick challenge, I want you to look at the last assignment that you put out and check for 3 elements. First, I want you to see if you put out what they're learning. Okay, you did an assignment and you explained what they're supposed to learn in this assignment. That's the first element. The second element is a description of why it's important. And there's a couple different things here. It could be important because you need this skill to move up to this skill, scaffolding. It could also be something that's relative to them on a personal level. So there are a couple different types of relevance, but really trying to connect why it's important for them to learn it. And the last thing is success criteria. What does success look like? How do they know they've mastered the material? If you got all 3 of those, you're killing it. You're doing a great job. If not, let's look at maybe trying to add those and kind of help the kids understand the value of what they're learning and what they're expected to learn. Now, why this matters. I'm going to use an example here. I want you to imagine you came in every day and there was a iPad and books on the desk, and it was just understood. You walked in, iPad, books, you sat down every day and just did it. You might do it out of a sense of duty or that's the expectation, but you would lose the zest, you'd lose the enthusiasm, and some of you might look at it and like, I'm not going to do it. Personally, I probably wouldn't even do it. I would get on my phone or whatever. So that's kind of my personal example. Like if there was something there, I wouldn't just do it. If there was a explanation of, hey, I need you to do this because it's going to help you advance in your career, or hey, I need you to do this, I think you'll find it interesting because it relates to what you're going through, I'd be more interested in doing it. And so that's kind of the example I'm trying to set forth. Because like if students don't see value in what they're doing, if they view it just as like a task on an iPad, a checkbox, they're not going to do it. We have to make sure they understand the value behind what we're trying to get them to do. So there's 2 levels of this. The basics I've kind of already gone over. At minimum, in the course of a lesson, each student should be aware of what they're supposed to learn, why it's relevant, and how they know that they've learned it. Now pay attention, it says at some point they're supposed to know, because some of our lessons we come out, we have like a learning target, and we say this is what you're going to learn. Other things, for example, in science, you might do something and they make an observation, and then at the end you tie it together like, what can we learn from what we saw today? So at some point they need to be aware of what they were supposed to learn and why it's relevant and how they know they learned it. When we assign these values to things, the kids are going to be much more likely to understand what they're learning, why they should learn. Now, level 2 takes it to another area, another level. If you want help with level 2, feel free to reach out to Dana or myself. The first 2, clarity of organization and clarity of explanation, are pretty simple. Clarity of organization is just lining up your standards and your lesson objectives and your outcomes. Clarity of explanation is the information relevant, accurate, and comprehensible to students. And then clarity of examples and guided practice just are the samples that you're putting out. Do they tie with your standards, your learning objectives? And lastly is clarity of assessment of student learning. Are you looking at what they're doing and using that as feedback to guide your further instruction? So if you have any questions about level 2, if you want to get started, feel free to reach out to Dana or myself and we'll help you.